first thought here, were any of you aware that you could just buy cities?
I did know you could do that, and only because I travel down some YouTube rabbit holes every once in a while. But I did know you could buy a town.
Okay, so give me do you know any more information on that, Sean? Because I don't if I was, I don't understand who
do you buy like a municipality?
Is there owners
I don't
of
know.
towns?
No, I don't think like somebody owns Hoboken. I mean, maybe you're just buying up all the land. I really don't know. I'm speculating, but I have seen like things where like people buy. Like I remember saw some guy on YouTube who bought like one of those old Western ghost towns, and he just lives there. And so like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what is it like. I think the question is like, what does it technically mean to own the town? Did you buy all the land and the property on there? Or now, did you buy like a document that says like it's now Patrickville?
Yeah.
Like that's like now. Are you now in charge of the mayor?
Yeah. Like what? I don't understand what happens. TiVo, while we're talking about this though, can you look up how far Mustang is from Dallas?
I already got it up. Hold on.
Okay. What is it, Sean? How far is
very
it?
Close.
Is it close by?
Yeah, it's really close on the map. I'll give you the exact distance here. It's 58 minutes by car. 62 miles. It's like just south.
Okay, so it's not close enough because we're going to get into this a little bit, but one of the things they're talking...
Just the quick Googles I'm seeing is you can't actually, like, government-wise buy a town. You can just buy all the land around it, and then you own it.
Gotcha. So you just own so that's what they mean by owning a town.
Sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Maybe it's like a defunct town with no, like, mayor, and it's just now your property.
Right.
Yeah,
you just buy it.
You just own the land. I wonder. You got to imagine it's got to be governed somehow. There's got to be a town around it that actually governs the city.
Well, you remember you ever hear there's that one like part of like Wyoming, like it's like 4 square miles or something where there's just like no, it's not like incorporated at all. So like this like the perfect place to commit a murder, they say, because you in like by the letter of the law you have to have like 12 jurors, to like participate in a trial, and there aren't 12 people within the appropriate radius. So they're like, you can't go on trial in this area if you commit a murder in this like one region. So I guess there are places that are. I'm sure that doesn't totally add up. I'm sure that they would find a way, but like that, I've heard that before, where like that's where, and I think in Yellowstone. Not a spoiler, but like I know they dump some bodies, and I think that's what they're saying. That's where they're dumping them because of that fact. So I think that there are like ungoverned areas, like included into like a town.
Interesting. And Schitt's Creek, that's the basis of Schitt's Creek. Is like
is it really?
Wealthy, yeah, it's a really wealthy family. They lose all their money, and the only thing they have left of their name is a small town called Schitt's Creek. So it'd be like if Mark Cuban lost all his money and then he owns, Mustang, Texas.
Mustang, Texas, from a quick Google image search, looks heinous. Looks like it is exactly what we thought, like an abandoned town for the most part.
Well, who knows? But there's a part, and we'll get to it. But let's go over the basics here of this sale. So he's selling the majority stake. It hasn't been finalized yet. It's up to league approval now. The league is vetting it, but he's selling it to a billionaire named Miriam Delson. It is noteworthy that Mark Cuban negotiated. He stays in his current role and controls basketball operations. Delson is the largest stakeholder in the Las Vegas Sands Casino. Her late husband is who started the company, and he passed down once he passed in 2020, I think, or 2021. All the shares were left to her. She recently sold about $2 billion worth of stock in the company. I don't even know how you go about doing that. Who is buying that much? But recently sold about $2 billion worth of stock in the company with the goal of getting into a sports team. It was public. It was known that that's what she wanted to do. No one knew where or who, but that was what she was planning on doing. And it seems as though also prior to the sale, prior to a lot of things, Mark Cuban had targeted the Las Vegas Sands as the company he wanted to partner with to bring sports gambling and a casino to the state of Texas, in particular, obviously, Dallas. Now, this is where Mustang, I thought, and that's why I asked for a quick Google search to see how close they are, because the long-term vision is to build an arena that is surrounded by a casino. Mark, and this is where he said that he had targeted the Las Vegas Sands as people that he wanted to partner with in order to accomplish that. Now, it's obviously noteworthy that sports gambling and casinos are still illegal in the state of Texas. We'll get into that in a second as to why this particular sale is important and why it's probably an indicator that it probably won't be illegal for very long. But recently, Forbes valued the company, the Dallas Mavericks, at $4.5 billion. The Mavericks, she bought the Mavericks at a $3.5 billion valuation. When you see that Mark Cuban sold at $3.5 billion valuation, that does not mean he got $3.5 billion. That means the company was valued at $3.5 billion, and let's say she bought 50% from Mark. That means he got a half of $3.5 billion, was what, 1.75. So I see a lot of people out there talking about how Mark got $3.5 billion. Why wouldn't he do it? Well, Mark did not get $3.5 billion. So just
is he still owning some shares?
Yes. All he's saying is he's selling the majority stake.
Majority. Okay.
Yes. So it seems as though, I don't know how many shares he owned to begin with, but I would doubt that he would want to stay in as head of basketball operations and all of that stuff if he didn't still have a piece of the company. Yeah. I would imagine he's not just going to stay on as an employee. Yeah. I'm sure he has some stake still a part of the squad. Yeah. It does, but however, it does seem as though Mustang is probably too far away in order to build this casino, but maybe.
I mean, think about it though. I mean, 60 miles is long. Like that's tough. But you look at like the Dallas Cowboys are in Arlington, the Texas Rangers are in Arlington. I know that's like much closer.
I don't know how much closer. How much closer is it?
Significantly. Like it's like right. I think it's on the outskirts.
How far is LA driving wise from the Dodgers?
Like miles.
No. How long would it take you to get there?
Okay, so now you're talking because
exactly.
Like the Rams facility is by LAX, or the Rams stadium is by LAX, and downtown LA is 30 minutes. I lived really close to LAX, so that's like a 30-minute no traffic drive, and good luck getting that in LA, and that's going to be 50 minutes to an hour from downtown LA. I was even thinking like Meadowlands, Meadowlands is, it's not even close to 60 miles, but it'll take you some time to get over there.
Yeah.
So I think, and I do know from my experience that the Mavericks' current arena is nestled into the city. It is like there's not real estate around it. And I think if I remember correctly, that was the arena where we had to go into a secret tunnel a couple blocks away to enter the underground of the arena. So it's there is a lot going on around it.
All right. Now, before we get into the politics and everything that's going on, that's going to take the large majority of this. A few other factoids. With Forbes recently valuing the company at $4.5 billion, you might think that Adelson got a steal, which she might have. I'm not sure. I don't value these companies, but it should be noted that these valuations are oftentimes made up and just guessed on. And the random example I give is that there's some random ass site that's not quite as reputable as Forbes, but there is a random site online that has me as a billionaire, and I can assure you that I am not even in the ballpark. Just shy of $1 billion right now. And also, it should be noted that Cuban bought the team in 2000 for $285 million. So he certainly is making out quite a big, he's quite a big profit margin. He's going to pay some taxes on this bad boy. Unless he's probably finding a way around it, but certainly a big contributor. And making a ton of money on this deal would be Mark. But let's dive in here a little bit into this. So currently, obviously, the sports betting is still illegal in the state of Texas. Now you've seen deals where people do stuff like this, and it's not like they're hoping this helps, but it's not necessarily helping. But there's also a vast majority of people like Mark Cuban who are intelligent people who, I don't know if he's got a good relationship with the city of Dallas. Last episode, we talked about the relationship that seemingly the Tampa Bay Rays have with Tampa or St. Petersburg, in contrast to what the Oakland A's have with Oakland, and why one team decided to stay in St. Petersburg even though they have lack of attendance and such, and why one team is leaving Oakland to go to Las Vegas. So we've talked about that. I don't know Mark Cuban's relationship with the city of Dallas. I don't know how that operates, but the interesting thing about Mustang, Texas, and I'm going to certainly make a TikTok about this and to jump on the Jack Mack bandwagon, is we've talked about on this podcast countless times, and we've done the Red Sox, we've talked about the Braves recently and how they have that whole city, kind of built up. Like we have all these different teams that seemingly the best way to make a killing in sports is to build the asset that is exciting and people want to see, and then build all the real estate around it and make it a super valuable proposition for you. Mustang would be an interesting place to do that. 58 minutes out of town, so it is a little bit of a hike. But if you put a casino there with a hotel and you're building all of this kind of city around it, you could make it a destination for people to come watch games. Now, it's not quite like football where you only have one game, but people are in casinos, and we know this. People are in casinos 24/7. You have those people that love to sit at the slots, love to sit at the blackjack tables. Like, there are people there 24/7 loving to gamble. So there is a chance that he does this, and there's also a chance that behind closed doors, he already knows that the gambling's coming from the state of Texas. I think gambling's going, and I think a lot of people, and majority of people, believe that gambling's going to be legal and sports betting is going to be legal in almost every state in America sooner rather than later. Texas being a pretty Republican city, or pretty Republican state, and seemingly, Republicans oftentimes like to get a ton of, they're often thought of as the capitalist party and the business pro party, like all that. So I would imagine that Mark already has a pretty good indicator that this is coming. On top of that, oftentimes when you go and you sit down with these meetings with politicians and try to figure out ways to get it done, they often say, well, listen, we want to do this right. We want to make sure that we're looking after the constituents of the state of Texas and so on and so forth. We don't want to just do this. So oftentimes they say, all right, Mark, we like your proposal. We like what you're doing. You're going to bring this many jobs. You're going to build this much in Mustang, Texas, a godforsaken town that has 23 people in it. You're going to do all of these things. There's going to be so much economic boom in the state of Texas because you're going to do this. But we don't want this to fail. Who's going to be your partner? Who in the gambling world are you going to bring on that can do this, that can give you that expertise on that side of the equation? Because it's one thing to build all this. It's a whole other thing to be able to operate it. And you don't have any experience in operating casinos and so on and so forth. And so that's when, Mark probably already did at that time. But we go out and solicit different, people with expertise in that industry to go back and say, hey, listen, you love the proposal, you love all this, and we're going to bring in the biggest gambling company in the world in Las Vegas Sands. And we're bringing them in as our partner. And there's no one better in the country to bring this in and to partner with us and to do this the right way in Texas. You're not going to get a better team across the country to be able to do something here. We've seen success, at least seemingly success, at the Wynn and Encore out in Boston Harbor. They're bringing this to Texas, and he brought in a great partner. So if I were a guessing man, I would say likely Mark has already had those discussions with the state and the cities and has brought in a great partner to show that he's serious about this, that he's excited to build this, and so on and so forth. And you have to admit, listen, he just made a huge profit. He's going to roll that into other investments, probably building up the city of Mustang or building in Dallas, whatever he decides to end up doing. But he's, on top of that, probably, if he does it right, his whatever stake he has left is probably going to increase in valuation by a tremendous amount if he can do this the right way. So there's infinite upside here for Mark Cuban and what he's doing. And it's not just, hey, we're selling to sell or what have you. There's also talks, and not to get too far into this, but there's not too much behind this. There's also talks of that he was going to run for president. He talked seriously about it a few years ago. His people did come out and say he wasn't going to do it. I also saw an article that said that he doesn't. It was a quote from him that he would never consider it completely out of the question because he didn't want to put his family through that kind of scrutiny, which I think a lot of people can resonate with. So that's not on the table. Also, a quick Google search will also tell you, a lot of people are saying that he's selling off his assets because he wants to run for president. You don't need to sell your assets to run for president or any office. You just need to put them in blind trusts. I learned that. I didn't know. I knew you didn't have to sell off assets. I just didn't know how you had. I knew you had to do something in order to make sure you protect the office, so to speak, the integrity of the office. So I knew you had to do something, but that's something for people that weren't going to do the quick Google search. I did it for you. But there's not much. You don't have to do. You just gotta reconfigure your assets, not sell them off. So that's not a thing. So if I had to guess, along with I think this conspiracy theory has a little validity to it. The only thing is it's a little far out there, but you're gonna you can build your own city, so to speak, and build around this type of thing. Like, I mean, when I was at the Sphere in Las Vegas, that's many years ago now that this had happened, but when I was in the Sphere in Las Vegas, part of the display was Las Vegas being complete desert. And over the years, seeing how it got built up and seeing what it turned into today. So, Las Vegas, the gambling mecca of the world, certainly started as nothing. Could Mustang, Texas, be the next Las Vegas? Because it looks, based off the video I saw from Jack Mack, it looked like it was pretty deserty. So could this be? Listen, I don't know, but I think there might be more validity. I think Jack Mack had some fun with it, but I think there might be more validity to this. This theory of him possibly, and we all know, East Rutherford wasn't the greatest area, kind of swampy.
Yeah, you see a lot of arenas. They go out into cheap real estate, and I know. I mean, the move these days is to buy the land and then build it up around. I know they're doing that with the new Detroit Little Caesars Arena. I'm looking at I'm trying to pull up some stuff. There's 23 people that currently live in Mustang, Texas. According to Wikipedia, it's only 21. There is a lot of airports around it. This is, I don't know, they all kind of look municipal though. I was like, oh, maybe we can get a little insight if there's a sneaky big airport near Mustang, because the teams are going to have to fly. I don't know, Patrick, do you remember? I don't remember traveling an hour outside of the airport. Even when we flew into Detroit, we didn't fly into the main Detroit airport. We flew into a private airport and just caught a bus from a municipal airport. I don't ever remember flying, and that's actually another good one. Auburn Hills. I don't know where the heck that was in relation
I was
to
Detroit. Detroit. We flew. It was a hike.
Yeah,
because they didn't want to staying in Detroit.
Yeah, I just don't remember. I don't remember. I don't. An hour seems a long way to take a professional sports team.
Well, if you're building a city, I think you can build a small municipal airport to get teams in there.
I know, I agree, but I was like, well, maybe they have one already there, and they were like, oh, we don't even have to build the airport. I mean, they'll have to build the hotel and everything, so it's got to be a long-term project for sure. But I do think it's within reason. 62 miles.
Definitely within
miles.
reason.
Yeah, I think that's within reason for them to do that. I don't know if they're going to turn it into the new Las Vegas, but you think about Jerry Jones. He built the Star and that complex out in Arlington, which is right next door where we were talking about before. This I think it's a really good thought process that could be where they're going to build this, take up all this new land, and that was their availability to do so.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. And if I had Jack Mack's phone number, I'd call him right now and put him on the Shaw Live. But the more I've thought about it, once I saw the clip, the more I thought about it, I was like, this starts to make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
You buy up all the real estate. This is kind of a playbook. I mean, again, you're right. It's a little bit further out than most other places, but you never really see. I mean, besides basketball arenas, you never really see sports teams in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
So you typically see them out. If you're going to go build a city or build like a little thing, you have to find cheap real estate. He's already done that with Mustang.
I will say, okay, let me jut in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
According to Wikipedia, if I'm looking at this right, it is 0.12 square miles. That's like crazy small.
So it's a tenth of a mile.
I see what you're saying. I zoomed in on it, so it's like Mustang, Texas, and right next to it is Angus, Texas.
Yeah, so like Mustang, Texas, according to, I mean, I'm not great at like judging this, but I think that means that it's a tenth of the size of Hoboken. In a rectangle, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tenth of the size of Hoboken because we're 1 square mile.
So
be just
I don't know what you can do with a tenth of a square mile. I mean, he's got an idea, and he knows more than me.
You don't know the other deals he has around town.
Sure.
Does he have other towns in on this?
That's super small, though.
So there's Mustang, Texas, and then right across the street is Angus, Texas.
If he buys Angus, man, we're in business.
Texas, Valley, Texas.
Yeah, so Mustang is just that little square.
Yeah.
It's like a street.
Yeah, it's like the size of a warehouse.
like I'm thinking Amazon warehouse is probably bigger than that.
According to Google, the population was 0 at the 2020 census. Mark Cubans bought it in December 2021.
Oh, here we go. 77 acres, and he bought it for $2 million.
77-acre town for $2 million. Yeah, so it's linking to that article.
77 acres. You ain't building a city on that. I mean, you couldn't.
No, you can't. A small city.
Yeah, you can't. I wonder how many acres an arena is.
It looks like you might have to include Angus in this deal.
Angus, you got to get
Angus. 300.
You got to get Angus.
It's like Boardwalk and Park Place here. You got to get Angus.
You got to get Angus. If you're going to do this, you got to get Angus.
Can we get some details on Angus?
All this talk, I got to be honest, all this talk about building the next Las Vegas in Mustang, Texas doesn't really work.
It's also seemingly a very weird shape.
You got to get Angus.
You got to get Angus. We've said you heard it here first.
3.3 square miles.
Yeah, if you don't get Angus, what are you even doing?
Angus has a total population of 429.
Well, here's another question. Does Mark Cuban own any property in Angus, Texas?
Considering the average income is 38 G's, I don't think Marky Cuban has a lake house in Angus.
Well, I'm not saying he has a lake house, but if he's buying a property, he can build a city.
Yeah.
It's all talking about Mustang.
The per capita income was $16,000.
Yeah, but cost of goods over there. I mean, you're doing a gallon of milk for 50 cents.
Yeah, they might be paying you to take it. That's 16 grand.
Yeah, I'm not seeing. I mean, everything's just talking about Mustang. It's too much to figure out. I mean, I got to imagine. First off, if this is the actual plan, he probably has some Angus as well in the works. I got to imagine.
We got to change the name of Angus.
Well, Sean, I've never been down where the Mavericks play, but is there room to develop down there, or kind of like what you're saying? You've been there. There's
I don't think so. From what I remember, it's actually like tucked into the city. I mean, it's not like New York, but I mean, I absolutely remember like buildings and developments and like structures around the arena. So you're not like taking those over or building it. I mean, you might be able to squeeze one in or something, but I don't see that happening, no.
Well, listen. He got to get Angus. It seems like you just need Angus to do this deal if we're doing it the way we think we're doing. And there's going to be money to be made on this deal.